concept of it, but he's missing the fact that there's a certain balance there because we've never been taught there was a balance. I never knew that there was a logic to plants and trees and how things grew. I didn't know it was connected to how my face was organized.
But I know those plants though.
Yeah.
You know, the morning glory,
Yep.
dogwood,
Okay,
and the low, daisy.
it's Daisy, yeah.
Is this in some book or something?
This I got from, you can get that, I'll pass this printout around. It's off the internet. It's called the Fibonacci, is this the right one? Yeah, called the Fibonacci Numbers in Nature. I'll pass it to you first. You can take a look at it right to the website down if you want to. Pass it around. Yes, sir.
About 20 years ago, I got a book that I bought for a doctor who was treating my mother. So I give him a gift. He loved plants. He would just grow plants all in his office, right, in a little styrofoam cup or anything. He have a plant growing, right. So I knew he loved plants. So I found his book in the bookstore, and by him being a doctor, even though I couldn't understand the book, the name of the book was called The Secret World of Plants.
All right. Yes.
And it talked about plants communicating with nature and with each other, whatever. But it was real kind of deep, And I remember that you bringing this up. Now I remember that book. I should have read it, but I wasn't ready for it. So.
Well, now you can go back. Now it can maybe make some sense, particularly when I've told the story before. They asked George Washington Carver how he was able to discover everything he discovered. He said he would go sit out in the woods and talk to the plants, ask them, why did God make you and what can I get from you? He said they told him. Okay? Now, I don't know if they told him or not. All I know is he came up with a whole lot of stuff that nobody else could come up with. Somebody told him. Maybe it was just a matter of being on the right wavelength, understanding how things are put together.
But Doc,
Plants, they're
Talking doesn't necessarily mean speaking English.
So it does
So talking just mean understanding.
understand, communicate with it. That's correct. Now, here's where we move back toward Egypt. What I've done thus far is basic Western mathematics. What some folks have now come to recognize is that the folks in Kemet understood that you could represent mathematics in symbols. And one of the ways they make that transition, sorry, I pushed the button. Here are a series of rectangles and squares. These are constructed in the same way as the number series went, by adding the previous two to get the next one. Here, square 1 and square 2 gives you a square that's 1 on one side, 2 long, a rectangle, 2 across, 1 up. Follow that? Okay. This one here, and that's the square here, 2 on each side. Now, this square is 1 plus 2 up, which is 3. Okay, there's okay.
Yeah, because if you look at where you have the 2 underneath, look at the proportions there.
Yes.
You have drawn, you have a 2. And if you carry that over, you'll get 2, and I think you have a space for one more, which will give it a 3.
Yes. This then becomes 3 by 5. There's 5. 5 by 8. 8 by 13. So what happens is that you can draw a series of rectangles one after another that expand out and that create the same kind of proportion as you had with the Fibonacci numbers. And if you start inside and begin connecting those edges, you move into this kind of a spiral, which also follows the Fibonacci pattern. Everybody see that? Anybody don't see it? Okay. You start by doing the same thing with the squares that you did with the numbers. Building rectangles. This rectangle here is 1 up and 2 across. It's a rectangle. This rectangle here is 3 up and 2 across. This rectangle here is 3 up and 5 across. This rectangle here is 8 up and 5 across. This rectangle here is 13 across and 8 up. There's the 8. And this rectangle here is 21 up and 13 across. So you're building a series of rectangles on the same proportions as the Fibonacci series. And if you then start connecting the points, you get a spiral that also fits the same pattern. That becomes important in animal life, as you'll see in a second.
To the right. Is that a 1 in that little square there right there? On the right hand side up there. Is that a 1?
No, that's the separation of the 2 boxes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I understand about the series of the numbers, but I'm trying to see it also as a pattern, and it seems like it's a little bit more understandable if you go the root of the spiral and then count your rectangles that way.
Yes.
It's more easier for me to comprehend. Is it? So would a pattern be established? Can you use a pattern like that and go in that direction to get the series as well? Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but what you said at first made more sense to me. To your way of looking at it, if you follow the spiral, you can see the rectangles better than focusing on the sides rather than the spiral.
Yes.
You're probably more visual in your perspective. Okay. Because I hadn't seen that, but now you mentioned I can see that. Now, there's a shell that follows the exact same arrangement as that Fibonacci series. And in fact, all of your analogous seashells and shells of that kind are shaped that way because they follow the Fibonacci pattern.
Could you go back to that last one?
Sure.
The yes. Does that look like what people give us as a hurricane?
That's what I thought it was.
Yes. Yeah. It looks like it's spinning. That's right.
Then are you saying that possibly the Fibonacci concept is a part of the construction of a hurricane?
It very well could be. It could very well could be. The only difference I would see with a hurricane at this point is that the hurricane has a large eye, but it's spinning around the eye in the very same pattern. Yes. Also, in the dimensions of animal bodies, the butterfly wings follow the same pattern. Other shells follow, other circular shells follow the exact same pattern. They're plants again. And this plant shows you the leaves in that same configuration, how they grow, 1, 2, and 3, next level 5, next level 8, next level. And here we're talking about level. What a plant does, it starts here, puts another flower over here, one over there, and one over there. So a level may have several different petals, but they're all in the same basic plane as the others. And then it moves to 13 in that last top plane. And here are other petals, first one was 2 sets of 5 green petals, the outermost, with an array of purple and white stamens. In the center are 5 greenish stamens. Uppermost center is 3 deep brown carpels and style branches. The back view, 3 sepals protected by bud arrangement outermost. Then 5 outer green petals followed by an inner layer of 5 more paler green petals. In other words, at no place here have we had 4 petals or 17 petals, or 9 petals. It always follows the same arrangement. 0, 1, 1, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21. Poppy seed has 13 ridges on top. If you count those spiraling to the right as you go outwards, there are 55 spirals. A little further toward the center, and you can count 34 spirals. Got enough room here? And here's another leaf pattern where they show you the levels and the number of clockwise turns to prove that, in fact, it's a 3, 5, 8 arrangement of leaves. Here are pine cones. And this one you got a series moving left, series moving the other way, 13 switches. It's cauliflower. 5 clusters are red. 8 clusters blue, going the other way. It's Romanesque broccoli, which is a mixture of cauliflower and broccoli. Same kind of pattern. 13 going one way, 21 going the other. Now, I mentioned golden ratio before. Again, it's the ratio of the B to A being the same as A to the whole line. It's proportion of the whole line to B. So A is to B, or the way it's represented here is A plus B is to the whole thing. This plus that is to the whole thing, as A is to B. In other words, A and B are in the same proportion as A, B together to the whole line. DNA follows the same pattern. It's based on a golden section, measures 34 angstroms long, by 21 angstroms wide. (34 and 21), of course, are numbers in the Fibonacci series, and their ratio 1.6190476 closely approximates the phi of 1.6180, so on. Here's another shot of DNA. DNA in the cell appears as a double-stranded helix referred to as bDNA. This form of DNA has a two groove in its spirals with a ratio of phi in the proportion of the major groove to the minor groove, or roughly 21 angstroms to 13 angstroms.
Could you point out the groove?
When they say 2 grooves in spirals, I think it's talking about these. I think when they say grooves, they're talking about these. This whole thing is a spiral composed of 2 grooves, and moving from this point does not repeat again until you get down to here. That's how you measure the length. If we had another one down here, we can measure from there to there. That's the actual length of a unit of that DNA. Same thing as they measure from, I guess, it's not quite the same measure from here to there. I guess it's got to be from that inside point to a similar inside point. If we measure from here, we need another similar inside point there. Or we can measure from here to there, same thing. Or from there to another inside point there. The planets in the solar system follow the same pattern. As above, so below. The rings of Saturn have the same ratio of the inside ring to the outside rings. Now, in addition, Venus orbits the Sun in 224.695 days, while the Earth orbits the Sun in 365 and 1.242, we say 1/4 days, creating a ratio of 8 to 13. both being Fibonacci numbers. Thus, 5 conjunctions of the Earth and Venus occur every 8 orbits of the Earth around the Sun and every 13 orbits of Venus. Again, though, it fits right in the pattern. Mercury, on the other hand, orbits the Sun in 87.968 Earth days, creating a conjunction with the Earth every 115.88 days. Thus, there are 365 and a quarter conjunctions in a year, or 22 conjunctions in 7 years, which is very close to 5. If you divide the planets fit the same kind of arrangement. Some of the mathematics gets more difficult, but the planets fit the same arrangement as we've seen in plants and the human face thus far. Venus, the Virgin, Parthenos in Latin means virgin. The Parthenon is built on that same proportion. The length on the base is AB to the A on the base is the let me get it right now. The midpoint on between those two on each side of the middle columns is the smaller part. Come down, you have the long side. That long side is to the top, as A is to B. What you really have there is 2 rectangles, both of which fit that proportion between those, on moving away from those middle columns. The same proportions are used, as you can see, in major cathedrals around the world. The point here being that for whatever reason, things that become aesthetically pleasing to us tend to fall in that phi arrangement. Most of the time, we've never known why those things appeal to us. But they fall into what seems to be a universal pattern in this universe. The CN Tower in Toronto, the tallest freestanding structure in the world, also contains the golden ratio in its design. Now, here's the place to start the whole thing, the pyramids. Our ancient ancestors understood phi, and they understood the constant pi, I'll talk about a little later on. And they proved it in the construction of the pyramid. This is a schematic that shows the dimensions of the base versus the height, which is with the fees involved in that. I'll come back to that a little later on. Now, the Greeks recognized the constant phi, and they used it in creating their temples. Many other artists have recognized it. That picture, The Last Supper by Da Vinci, is based upon the golden section again. You know, and you'll see in a minute that most of the things Da Vinci did was based upon the golden section or golden the number phi, or proportions organized by phi, which is one of the reasons Da Vinci's things are so well accepted around the entire world and have lasted since he made them. Now, here's the Mona Lisa.
Not to be mistaken with Mona Lisa.
Not to be, no, we know, we like you better.
That's the artist that draw it.
But Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa is painted according to those proportions, which is one of the reasons apparently it has so much charm to everybody in the world. Mozart used the same pattern of length of his sections in his music. His music has lasted. I think it's mentioned Bela Bartok, who's a modern composer, has done the same thing. Almost any Christian cross that you see on top of a church has the same proportions of the golden section, side to top and bottom. Here are 2 drawings, 2 famous pictures of the Last Supper. One by Salvatore Dali, one by Leonardo da Vinci, and both of them use the same pattern of the golden sections. By the way, since I've got Da Vinci here, there's a lot of talk about Da Vinci Code and whatnot.
Is that supposed to be a novel or truth? Or
It's a novel.
okay.
How many folks you see at the table?
13 altogether.
13. What is 13 the number of?
13 columns.
Transformation. moving to the next level. Okay. How are the disciples grouped? In threes. How many groups of three? Four groups of threes. I'm going to suggest to you that that's grouped that way because in fact it represents the seasons of the year. The 4 seasons. I'm organizing a presentation now on the cosmology of religion. And many people who've lived through history have understood these quote-unquote secrets, and they've incorporated these secrets into their work. The average one of us looking at these things totally misses what's going on. We see a picture, folks will tell us everything. They're arguing about whether or not, one of the disciples really Mary Magdalene. That's a side issue. Okay. Now, here's the problem, getting the part I like now. Musical scales. There are 13 notes in the span of any note through its octaves. A scale is composed of 8 notes. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Do, do. 1, 8. Okay. Note how the piano keyboard scale of C to C above C is organized. 13 keys, 8 white keys, and 5 black keys, split into groups of 2s and 3s. Again, Fibonacci series. Now, in this chart, they have done some mathematical proportions and whatnot. They've got